Hi. I wanted to show off the game that I've been working on lately. I've kind of been casually working at this for the last couple weeks. The whole idea of it is I wanted to make a game sort of similar to Magica, where you kind of felt like you were creating spells and doing interesting things out of it, but I found that game to be kind of shallow in some of the other aspects of it. So this is going to be an action RPG version of that. Plus, I've changed the way that spells work in the game. So I'll show off the most basic spell, and I will only give it a little bit of spell power, and you'll see the gauge on the left kind of go up a little bit while I'm doing this. So this is the most basic spell. This is light. If you don't add any special movements to it, this is basically what you get. And you can see I'm only channeling mana for a little bit. That's mana channeling to me, and if I let it go higher, then I get a much better experience out of the light spell. It becomes a more effective spell in general. And the plan is that when a spell has just a little bit of spell power, it might fizzle completely eventually. I'm still working on this and still sort of figuring out the concept. This is just supposed to be a prototype to get the idea of whether or not this concept is really working and it's fun to play. And then if you cast it sort of during the green portion, that's when you get a very nice, safe, perfect cast. If you cast it in the yellow section, it might be a little unstable. And if you let it go all the way to the red, it's basically going to backfire on you in some spectacular way. But right now, you can just keep going as high as you want and cast gigantic spells. That's how that works. So the other concept is, while you're channeling, you can add a little bit of an input to your spell in order to inform what the spell should look like, what kind of form the spell should take. So the only other spell that I currently have implemented is the Fireball. And it's basically, I'm going to channel my spell. While it's channeling, I'm going to do a Hadouken motion, the old like Street Fighter Hadouken style. And then when I release it, depending on how much spell power there is, you'll get a different type of Fireball. So in this case, this is the basic Fireball. It's kind of tiny when you leave it in the blue. If I goof up the motion, and you can kind of see what I'm pressing there on the top left, that's really just a debug tool for me. But with the Fireball, if I let it go longer, then it becomes much larger. And it also travels faster. It's got a larger hitbox. It's going to be more useful. The idea, oops, I messed that up. One of the things I wanted to avoid is having people spamming things the whole day, because it's the most effective way to fight. I'd rather that you cast fewer spells and that they're larger spells, and that you have to kind of think about what the best spell for each situation is. So I've got a lot of systems in place for this game that are very shallow right now. So I have a whole UI system, but I only have like 3 different uses for the UI. I've only made 3 particle effects you can see so far, but it should be easy for me to expand a little bit. But so far, I've made 2 monsters in the game, quote unquote. My own character is one monster. You might recognize the copyrighted art that certainly cannot stay in here if I ever do much with this game. And then the other monster is over there on the right. It's the target dummy. You can see he has a little HP bar there. So let's cast a Fireball at him. And you can see I have a little bit of hitbox detection in place. And if I cast my Fireballs correctly, you can kind of, and if I hit him, you can see the larger the Fireball, the more damage it's doing to him, the longer it takes for me to channel it up. Oops. And then in that case, I cast it in totally the wrong direction. And if I keep going, his hit points go down. That's all I really have so far. What I'm hoping to do is, number 1, make at least 4 different spell motions where you can combine a few different types to sort of, in an intuitive way, allow you to choose what kind of spells you're casting and kind of understand the types of things that they might do. You're also going to be able to cast spells from different spell schools. All the spell schools will have a different focus. It won't just be a color change, or the type of damage won't just change elements. It should be a lot more than that. And I'd like it to be a little open choice in where you go to explore. I want there to be a map. I want there to be treasures and things you can find to power yourself up. There's going to be stats. One of them will certainly be the rate at which you can channel mana when you're casting a spell, or spell power, whatever you want to call it. The other one will certainly be how much mana you can effectively channel before your spell explodes back in your hands. And there'll be other classic things like just how many hit points and you have and how quickly you move around and that kind of thing. And what I'm hoping for is something that's a lot of sort of intuitive fun to play, like Magicka. You feel like you're casting spells, but also a much deeper gameplay. We'll see if I ever get there. Right now, I'm just working on this on the weekends and at night and whatnot. If you're wondering what'll happen when I kill the target dummy, not very much right now. His HP bar goes away, but he keeps taking damage. I'll have to do something with that. Okay, signing off.